This first post is wild, as Lily is jealous of another girl and is threatening to call ICE on her family. She starts by saying, "I have ICE's number saved in my phone and I'm about to use it. I've had it saved for 3 weeks. I look at it every night before bed. I haven't called yet, but I'm running out of reasons not to. My best friend is Nick, and I've known him for 13 whole years. I knew him when his ex cheated on him. I was on his couch for 3 days making sure he was fine. I flew across the country for his birthday once because nobody else bothered. He drove 3 hours in the middle of the night when my ex left me at a gas station in Delaware. He got a new girlfriend called Sophia, works at some Mediterranean place near his office. He went in for lunch, and apparently she smiled at him, and that was enough to undo everything. He came over that night grinning like an idiot, and I already knew this one was going to be different. I was supportive. I said, "She sounds great. I'm happy for you." I didn't say what I was actually thinking, which is that she works at a restaurant, and Nick has a degree and a career, and I've watched him date down before, and it never ends well. But I kept that to myself. You're welcome. She already sounds extremely bitter, and normally I only hear people critique a woman's job when it comes to adult content. The first time I noticed something off about her family was at a thing at Nick's apartment about a month in. Her parents came. Dad barely spoke. Mum spoke zero English. They brought food and paid for the alcohol in cash. Exact change, like they'd counted it out beforehand. 3 weeks in, and I still hadn't properly met her, but Nick had already cancelled our Wednesday thing twice. Wings in a show. We've done it since college. He texted "can't do tomorrow," seeing Sophia, with a smiley face. No sorry or reschedule. Just a smiley face like 13 years of Wednesdays meant nothing next to the flatbread girl. I can tell this is going to get extremely racist. If only I could look at her profile, I'm sure I'd find so much worse than this post. When I met her, she was exactly what I expected. Pretty in that weaponized way. Touched his arm constantly. Called him Nicky, which he has told me since we were 15 that he hates, but now he just grins when she says. She asked how long we'd been friends, and when I said 13 years, she did this head tilt and said, "That's so sweet," like she was praising a child's drawing. I told Nick she seemed fine, but something felt off. He didn't want to hear it. This is the same man who begged for my opinion on every girl he's ever dated. I told him his ex was bad news. I was right. I told him his roommate was sketchy. I was right. My track record is perfect, but suddenly the one time my opinion is negative, he doesn't want it. I looked up the laundromat where Sophia's mum works around this time. Cash only. No website, no reviews, no visible payroll situation. I drove past Sophia's parents' house too. Small house with 2 trucks in the driveway and landscaping equipment. No business name on either. No license numbers on the side like you're supposed to have. Her dad does landscaping with 0 paper trail. I'm not drawing conclusions. I'm observing. By summer, Nick was gone. Hours between texts. Sorry was with Sophie. Sophie. She has a nickname now. He skipped my birthday dinner for something with her. He dropped off a Safeway sheet cake the next day with plastic frosting and a generic pick in it. I have thrown this man surprise parties. I have flown across the country for him, and I get a grocery store cake on the wrong day. I confronted him in July, told him he was disappearing, expected him to hear me out. Instead he said, "This is normal. Nothing's changed." I said, "It feels like you're choosing her over me." He said it's not a competition, which is what people say when they've already picked a winner and don't want to announce it. He told me Sophia wasn't going anywhere, and I needed to respect that. Respect the girl who makes flatbread for a living and stole my best friend in 3 months. Sophia's probably a spicy Latina, and she's getting rid of the competition as you'd expect. My friend told me I was getting too intense. I told her that she wouldn't understand because she's never had a friendship that lasted longer than a lease agreement. My other friend said I sounded obsessed. I told Jess that until she maintains a single relationship longer than a calendar year, she doesn't get to lecture me. Jess changes boyfriends every 4 months and cries about each one like it was the love of her life. But I'm the one with attachment issues. After that, I did what anyone would do when the person they love won't listen. I went through every account Sophia has ever had. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, a Tumblr from 2013 she forgot exists. I went back years and I found her old Twitter. Tweets from 2015 that were straight up racist. Slurs, stereotypes, jokes about accents. This girl is Guatemalan, making fun of other minorities, which tells you everything about her character. I screenshotted every single one. Brought them to Nick. Showed him one by one. He laughed. He said those are from 10 years ago. She was a teenager. Everyone was saying dumb stuff back then. He trusts her and knows she isn't like that anymore. Then he said, going through a decade of someone's social media was a lot, and I needed to take a step back. After that, he went fully cold. 9 days without a text. I reached out and he said, I think we need some space, because I showed him evidence and he didn't like what it said about his choices. Maybe she's turning him into a racist as well. I've been reading about immigration reporting. You can report anonymously. They investigate based on tips, and I know what I've seen. The cash payments, the unmarked trucks, the laundromat with no paper trail. Sophia never posts about her family even though she posts everything else. Her dad probably doesn't exist on paper. If Nick marries this girl, whatever her family is hiding becomes his problem. Since he won't listen to me about the racism and won't listen to me about the relationship, then maybe an official investigation is the only thing that'll open his eyes. This woman is the ultimate queen of jealousy. Trying to deport a whole family out of revenge is next level. He won't even know it's me. They investigate. If there's nothing to find, then nothing happens and no harm done. If there is something, then I just saved my best friend from a situation he was walking into blind. Either way, I'm protecting him. Some people will read this and think I'm the villain. Those are the same people who let their friends walk into burning buildings because they're too polite to pull the alarm. I'd rather be the girl who pulled it and lost everything than the girl who stayed quiet and watched him burn. He's my best friend. He was my best friend before her. He'll be my best friend after her. 13 years doesn't disappear because some girl smiled at the right time. He'll come back. He always comes back. The number's right there. I think I'm going to protect my friend. I need an update from this girl as soon as possible. Kate said, if there's nothing to find, then no harm done. An ICE investigation doesn't just float in and float out like a wellness check. They show up at people's homes. They show up at their jobs. You're talking about sending armed federal agents to a family's door because your best friend doesn't text you back fast enough and you wrote no harm done, like you were returning a shirt to Zara. If you thought that post was crazy, just wait until you hear the one from Amy, who left her boyfriend for his older brother and now regrets it. I left my boyfriend for his older brother and now I want to go back. I won't bother explaining myself because we're all terrible people in this group. My ex Jalen works some logistics job I don't fully understand. He lives at home and has a car. Took me out for food sometimes. Made plans for our weekend, which I loved about him, most of the time. But his older brother Dante was funnier and had this confidence Jalen doesn't have. Jalen is quiet and steady. Dante walks into a room and everyone shifts toward him. He'd say stuff to me right on the line between friendly and flirty. It started at a party. Jalen left early because he had work at 6 in the morning. Dante stayed and I stayed. He told me I looked good on the balcony and it wasn't the way Jalen says it. We kissed. Dante texted 2 days later. We were hooking up within the week. I'd tell Jalen I was with my girls and he'd say, okay babe, have fun. Never questioned it once, which honestly shows you how checked out he was toward the end. If he was really paying attention, he would have felt something shift, immediately blaming the victim. I broke up with Jalen about a month in, told him I needed to figure myself out. He believed it immediately, which was a little hurtful if I'm honest, like you're not even going to push back. He said he understood and hoped I'd find what I was looking for. Hugged me, very sweet, very Jalen, always doing the right thing at the wrong time. Then Dante and I went secret. No social media, no public anything. He'd talk about all these plans, business ideas and moves he was about to make. He spoke about the future with this energy Jalen never had. Jalen just quietly does things, but Dante does not have a job. He says he's an entrepreneur. He is not an entrepreneur. What Dante actually does is sell weed and barely make rent, which is 3 months behind. He fronted well at first, had cash, bought me food, got me a necklace. That was him burning through whatever he had to keep me around, and once it was gone, it was gone. 6 months in, and this man cannot buy me an iced coffee. We went through a drive-thru, and he asked if I could get it because he left his wallet at home. He didn't leave his wallet. He didn't have money. He drives a car with a check engine light that's been on for 4 months. His apartment is a couch, a TV, and a mattress on the floor. I've been sleeping on a floor mattress for 6 months after leaving a man with a queen bed, a headboard, and matching nightstands. I traded a grown man's bedroom for what looks like a freshman dorm without the desk. I can't believe he'd steal his own brother's girlfriend. She deserves the downgrade. He owes people money. Someone came to his door at 2 in the morning and he told me to stay quiet and not move. The plans are nothing. He's been saying he's starting a clothing brand since before I met him. No website, no product, not even a name. He spent $200 on blank t-shirts still in a garbage bag in his closet. That's the business. A garbage bag of guilt and blanks and a dream. Of course he's trying to start a clothing brand. Next she's going to say he's got a music career in the works. I miss my ex. His car that starts without a prayer. Actual restaurants on Saturdays. Dante is fun and the physical stuff is good, but you can't build a life with someone who gets nervous when there's a knock at the door. Here's my plan. Jalen doesn't know about Dante. Nobody does. He still follows me. Watched my story last week. Liked a photo 2 days ago. He's obviously not over me. He's forgiving. Almost too forgiving. It's one of his best and worst qualities. I just need to end it with Dante without him feeling burned enough to talk. Make it feel mutual. If he thinks it was his idea too, he has no reason to blow it up because he'd be exposing himself just as much. He betrayed his own brother. He has just as much to lose. Probably more since it's his actual family. She's actually trying to get back with her ex after sleeping with his brother. Then I wait a month. Reach out to Jalen casually. Let it build. Let him think it's organic. By the time we're together again, the Dante thing is buried. Jalen doesn't get hurt. Dante doesn't lose his brother. Their family stays intact. My friend says I need to tell Jalen everything. I said, for what? So he's devastated and never speaks to his brother again, and their whole family falls apart. How does the truth help anyone? It doesn't. It just makes me look bad. Sometimes protecting people means not telling them things that would only hurt them. That's not lying. That's caring. She's definitely thinking about herself first in this whole situation. She always has. The comments are all saying she can't pull this off because they're brothers and he'll find out eventually. None of them are scrutinizing her for what she did. Meanwhile, Megan is treating Facebook like a sex therapist. My husband has basically refused to be intimate with me for almost 9 months because I won't do one specific thing in bed anymore. I wish I was exaggerating, but I'm not. Don't jump to conclusions. I'll reach through your computer screen and give you a smack if you say something dumb in the comments. I'm not someone who suddenly decided I hate intimacy. We've been married for several years and we literally have a 9-month-old baby together, so clearly our relationship and our physical life used to be normal. Her postpartum is strong. I hope she doesn't find this video, otherwise I might be getting a slap. But since having our baby, things changed a lot for me. I had a rough delivery. Recovery took longer than I expected. My body still feels different in ways I did not plan for. On top of that, I spend most of my day taking care of a baby who wakes up every few hours and somehow manages to cry louder than a fire alarm. Some days I feel like I exist to keep everyone else alive. Feed the baby, change the baby, wash bottles, run laundry, clean something sticky off the floor. Then repeat the cycle again the next day. All of this while running on broken sleep and reheated coffee. Meanwhile, my husband seems to think I should still function the same way I did before the baby, which honestly makes me want to scream. For context, there was always one thing he liked doing in the bedroom. I went along with it sometimes earlier in our relationship. It was not my favorite thing, but relationships involve compromise. At the time it felt like a small thing. Sometimes we did it, sometimes we didn't. It would make me feel degraded, which honestly I like in the bedroom, just not right now. After childbirth, I just don't want to do that anymore. Not right now, maybe not ever again. I honestly don't know. I'm itching to know what she's talking about specifically. It could change my opinions a lot. My body went through a lot. My brain went through a lot. Some things just feel different now, and I feel like that should be easy to understand considering I gave birth less than a year ago. Apparently not, because if I say no to that one thing, the entire conversation about intimacy stops right there. No, okay, what would you feel comfortable with? Just nothing. So the result is that we have basically not been intimate for 9 months, which is ironic in a dark way, because that is the exact same amount of time I spent pregnant creating the baby that apparently ruined our sex life. And before anyone says I'm withholding affection, I want to make something clear. I am not against intimacy. I have told him that. I have suggested other things. I have tried to meet him halfway. At one point I even said, "How about focusing on me for once?" He laughed like I made a joke. That moment made me more angry than if he had started an argument, because it made it clear he did not even take the idea seriously. A few weeks ago we had a moment where I honestly thought things might go back to normal. The baby had finally fallen asleep after the nightly marathon. If you have a baby, you know the routine. By the time he finally stayed asleep, I felt like I had completed a full workout. Anyway, my husband leaned over and started kissing my neck, and for a second I thought, wow, maybe we are finally acting like a married couple again, instead of two tired co-workers running a tiny screaming company. Then he suggested anal again. I said no, and the entire mood died instantly. He rolled over. End of story. That is how it goes every time. Not wanting to do anything except go up the brown hole is an interesting choice to kill your marriage. Another thing that frustrates me is that he still seems to expect me to look like some kind of Instagram model every time we are intimate. Perfectly groomed and shaved. Everything done perfectly like I'm Jessica Alba. Meanwhile, I barely have time to shower most days. I'm writing this right now with dry shampoo in my hair, a baby monitor clipped to my waistband, and a reheated cup of coffee I made at 6 in the morning sitting next to me. It is now the afternoon. The coffee still tastes bad, but I keep drinking it anyway. This is not exactly my glamorous era. Before we had a baby, getting ready for a night together meant music, maybe a glass of wine, and time to actually look nice. Now getting ready means I brush my hair and hope the baby stays asleep for longer than 20 minutes. Romance now feels like two people whispering in the dark while watching the baby monitor like it is a security camera. And that baby has amazing timing. I swear he has a built-in sensor for intimacy. The second we try anything, he wakes up. Before the baby, the thing my husband likes was just one option, like fries with a burger, nice sometimes, but not required. Somehow it became the entire menu, and I don't understand how that happened. Part of me wonders if something he watches online changed his expectations. I don't know that for sure, but the shift felt sudden. Now we are stuck in this weird standoff. He will not start anything unless that one thing is involved. I will not do it, so nothing happens, which has started to mess with my head more than I want to admit. It does sound like he's being immature. She's just given birth to your child. Give her some time to feel confident again. Don't dive in straight for the pooper. It is a strange feeling to know your husband technically wants intimacy, but only in a way that makes you uncomfortable. Meanwhile, I spend most of my day covered in baby spit up and wondering if I remembered deodorant. Some days I start to wonder if he even sees me as a woman anymore. In one heated argument, I asked him if he was gay. Why didn't he want to be intimate in any other way? That did not go down well, and it started one of our biggest arguments to date. She might be onto something. Maybe he longs for a man. And look, I know I am not at my best right now. I am tired. My body still feels different. My life runs on short naps and baby schedules, but I also carried a child for 9 months. I just did not expect that the result of all that would be my husband acting like intimacy with his wife now comes with one very specific rule. The comments are obviously all from women lighting the husband up. He's probably annoyed by the lack of attention he's getting with the baby, and he's told himself if she does this, she truly loves him. It would be a wild way for a marriage to end in a divorce. Imagine telling a judge this. Heather, on the other hand, wishes she never ruined her perfect marriage. My ex-husband is engaged to a 27-year-old, and I've been divorced for 8 months. I found out through a mutual friend because nobody had the guts to tell me directly. I was married to Kevin for 4 years, and with him for 6 total. He's been seeing someone for 3 months. She's 27, basically a baby. He's already put a ring on her finger. They dated for 3 months, and there's already a ring on her finger. I dated this man for 2 years before he introduced me to his mom. Miss 27 gets the fast track because she looked at his life plan and said sounds great instead of having a panic attack in the bathroom. But I'm not jealous. The timeline is suspicious, and that's all I'll say about that. I'm not exactly sure what she meant on the last line. Maybe she was projecting. He was fine. He started pushing for kids about 2 years into the marriage. First it was hints, then it was real conversations. Then this man made a spreadsheet with the timeline for when we'd start trying and projected due dates based on conception windows and showed it to me at the kitchen table like a quarterly business review. I looked at it and felt my throat close. I hadn't been to Japan yet. I hadn't done anything yet, and he wanted to lock me into motherhood on a fiscal calendar. I told him I wasn't ready. This went on for almost a year. Every few weeks he'd bring it up, and every few weeks the walls got smaller. He finally said it was a deal breaker. I said I can't give you a date for when I'll want to change my entire life. He said we're not 25 anymore. She didn't use that year to go to Japan or tick off some other bucket list items. The biological clock is real. You can't just wait around. So I suggested a break. 6 months. Let me figure out what I want and I'll come back with an answer. He looked at me like I'd slapped him and said, I'm not going to wait around while you decide if I'm worth coming back to. So he filed for divorce. Because apparently asking for 6 months of space is a crime when you're married to a man who operates on a project timeline. He couldn't even give me that. He couldn't just pause and let me breathe. He had to make it final, because Kevin always has to be right, and Kevin always has to be in control of the plan. A break usually gets received as, I want to sleep around with other people, so I'm not shocked it followed with the divorce. I didn't cry. I signed the papers and moved into an apartment downtown, and it felt like waking up from a nap that lasted 6 years. I went to Miami with my girls. I went to the music festival. I got my nose pierced. I stayed out until 3 in the morning and answered to nobody. For 6 months, I was the happiest I'd been since my 20s, and I didn't think about Kevin once. Maybe when his mom posted something on Facebook about missing me, and I felt a tiny bit guilty, but I scrolled past it. I was going on so many dates, and it was fun and exciting. I was hooking up with guys that were 10 years younger than me. It was such a thrill. I got exactly what I wanted out of my break. I needed to get it out of my system. But ladies, I'm having a little bit of a problem finding a man that wants to settle down. Can you relate? I don't remember dating being like this. 10 years ago, men approached. Men planned. Men called the next day. Now it's all apps and everyone treating each other like options on a menu they're not hungry enough to order from. I went from a man who planned anniversary dinners 6 weeks out to a guy who sends an eggplant emoji at midnight and unmatched when I don't respond within the hour. And it's not me. I'm in shape. I have a career. I have my own place. I'm 34 and I take care of myself. I have more to offer now than I did at 24. Did she say 34? Destroying a stable marriage for some fun at 34 has to put you in the lowest percentage of IQ. Last Saturday, I went to a bar alone because my friend Bree said I needed to put myself out there the old-fashioned way. I sat there for 2 hours and not a single person spoke to me. 10 years ago, I would have had drinks sent over within 30 minutes. Now I'm invisible. Men my age were on their phones 3 feet away, and I swear they were swiping on the same apps I'm on while a real person sat right there. I went on a date last week with a 28-year-old who was sweet but kept calling the waitress who was my age mum, and it made me feel ancient. I went on another date with the guy who seemed perfect until he told me he doesn't believe in monogamy, and I wanted to throw my water at him. This is the pool I'm swimming in now. I just want to know if anyone else has been through this. Is dating currently really this bad, or am I just getting unlucky? I could probably get back Kevin if I really wanted to, but I do think there's someone better out there for me. She can't seriously be expecting to find Mr. Perfect with a guy who's 6 years younger than her. She's definitely regretting that divorce now and in denial with how the future is looking. Jenna said, "The nose piercing took me out. She left a man who drew her baths and planned their future to go get a nose piercing and go to a festival. I couldn't have said it better myself." Then we have Rachel, who got caught stealing money from her boyfriend. "Can't believe my boyfriend ended our relationship over a little money. I'm back at my old roommate's place sleeping on a twin bed at 28 years old. He blocked me on everything except regular texts, and even there he takes days to respond, and it's always 1 or 2 words. No punctuation, just okay or noted. 2 years, and the last thing he said to me with any emotion was, 'This is theft.' 2 years, and I get noted. This already sounds like she's going to minimize the amount she stole. Whatever amount she says she stole, I reckon double it. He found the transfers while I was cooking dinner for us, like I always did, because I did that 3 or 4 times a week, and not once did I charge him for my time. He came out of his office with his laptop and just turned it toward me. Our shared Cash App account, the one we use for rent and bills and household stuff. He'd gone through weeks of transactions and highlighted every transfer I'd made to my personal account. Dates, amounts, all of it. He totaled it at the bottom because of course he did. This is the same man who once stood in Whole Foods calculating the per ounce cost of olive oil while I stood there holding the basket. I put the spatula down. I was calm. I said, "Can we please sit down and talk about this because there's context here that you need to hear?" And he just stood there and said, "This is theft," in this completely flat voice, like he'd been practicing it in his office for an hour before coming out. No yelling, no emotion, no "why would you do this?" We argued about it for 30 minutes until he asked me to pack my overnight bag and leave. I literally begged him to sleep on it and talk in the morning, and he said there was nothing to discuss. I even offered to Venmo him the full amount right there on the spot, every cent, and he said it's not about the money. But yes it is. It was always about the money with him. Every single aspect of our relationship had a price tag on it, but now suddenly it's not about the money. 2 years. I helped him pick out furniture for that apartment. I was there for 2 Christmases with his family. His mom loved me, and he walked me to the door like I was someone who'd come to fix the internet. But nobody wants to hear what led up to it. Nobody wants to ask what happens to a person when they spend 2 years being slowly bled dry by someone who makes almost triple their salary and still thinks fairness means you both suffer equally. I make $64,000. I work in communications, and I have a degree. I've been promoted twice in 4 years, and I'm proud of what I earn. It's not a fortune, but it's mine, and I built it in a field that everyone knows doesn't pay well. I had my own apartment before him. I paid my own bills. I have never in my life asked a man to take care of me, and I need people to understand that before they come at me in the comments. My ex makes around $150,000 as a software engineer. When we moved in together after about 8 months, he sat me down and gave this whole speech about believing in equal partnerships, said he'd seen relationships fall apart over money, said 50-50 was the healthiest foundation, and that when we got married, we would combine finances when we were married. I do think if he's earning 3 times the amount that he could pay more rent or something, but that definitely doesn't excuse her from stealing. And I said okay, because I loved him, because I thought it was temporary. I thought once he saw how much I was stretching, he'd ease up on his own without me having to ask. He didn't. I did bring it up. Twice actually. The first time was after the steakhouse dinner with his friends, where my half came to $125. I told him that the 50-50 thing was starting to hurt me, and he did end up paying my half. The second time was after I had to put new tires on my car and was short on rent. I asked if he could cover a little more that month, and he said he didn't think that was a good precedent to set. A precedent, like I was filing a motion and not asking my boyfriend for help, so I stopped asking, and I started resenting him, and he either didn't notice or didn't care, and honestly at this point I don't know which one makes me feel worse. Because here's the thing, he could be generous. He bought me a really nice necklace for my birthday last year. Didn't split it, didn't send me a bill, just gave it to me, so he was capable of it. He just chose when it applied and when it didn't. Birthdays, yes. Every other day of the year, no. He could turn it on when he wanted to look like a good boyfriend and turn it off when it actually mattered. He drove a new Audi. I'm in a 2019 Civic. He had a financial advisor. I had a credit card balance that got bigger every month. He'd come home with new tech stuff and new sneakers, and I'd be sitting in the bathroom doing math on my phone trying to figure out if I could get my hair done that month. But sure, equal. He even bought himself a new gaming computer which cost like $3,000. I could have used that money for my rent. It's like he's just flaunting his money in front of me. It's starting to sound like she's just jealous of his income. I'm sure this relationship could have used a good dose of communication and understanding what the other person can afford. The trip is what finally broke me. Last summer we planned a week in Greece. His idea. He found the hotels, picked the islands, mapped out everything. I was actually excited because I thought, okay, this is it. This is the trip where he steps up and does something generous without me having to hint and beg and feel pathetic about it. Then he sends me a Google Doc. Flights, hotels, transfers, activities, restaurant budget, a miscellaneous line. My half came to just over $3,400. I opened it at work during my lunch break and went to the bathroom and just stood there scrolling through it, trying to figure out which credit card had enough room. My coworker asked if I was okay when I came back, and I said, yeah, just allergies. I thought at the bare minimum, he'd cover the flights. At minimum, that's what my dad would have done. That's what any man I've ever known who loved someone and made 3 times their salary would do without even thinking. But no. He booked them separately, and Venmo requested me $1,100 with a memo that said, Greece flights, your half, with a little airplane emoji. I paid it. I said, can't wait, babe, with a heart emoji, and I just shut down inside. That's when I started taking money from the shared cash app. He loaded money in there every month for rent and bills, and I started skimming. Small amounts at first, $40 here, $60 there, then it went up, $150, $200. I told myself I was just closing the gap. I was just taking what the relationship owed me. All the dinners, the trips, the groceries, the 100 invisible costs of keeping up with someone who earns almost triple what you make and expects you to pretend that's not real. Over a long time it came to around $2,800, and I didn't even spend it on anything crazy. Groceries, gas, my credit card bill, which was mostly made up of expenses from the relationship. It went right back into us, if you actually think about it. Was it legally wrong? Yes, I know that. I'm not an idiot. But I also know that I spent 2 years performing equality for a man who used fairness as a shield so he'd never have to be generous. He never once looked at the gap between us and felt uncomfortable. He never once said, I've got this one, unless I hinted so hard it was basically begging. He never once considered that equal and fair are not the same thing when one person's making 150 and the other is making 64. She definitely needed to communicate better what she could and couldn't afford. I guarantee that would have saved a lot of stress from the financial situations he was putting her in. My friends are mostly on my side. My best friend said she's surprised I lasted as long as I did. My coworker, whose boyfriend makes less than James and still covers most of their dates, just looked at me and said, that's not a boyfriend, that's a billing department. My mom was quiet on the phone for a long time and then said, your father would never, and that made me cry harder than anything James ever did. I brought it up twice. I communicated. I told him it was hurting me, and both times he basically said, rules are rules. So what was I supposed to do? Just keep drowning quietly and smiling about it. I didn't want to steal from him. I wanted him to make it so I didn't have to. Just start saying no to spending money. His friends obviously think I'm a monster. I'm sure in his group chat, I'm the psycho ex who stole from him. None of them will ever hear about the spreadsheet or the Venmo requests or the time I couldn't afford a haircut for 3 months. And the worst part, I don't even think he cares. He went to Greece. About 3 weeks after we broke up, he just went. Same hotels, same islands, same itinerary we planned together. My friend showed me from her account. Beach photos, sunset cocktails, a picture of some octopus dish at the restaurant that I found. He just removed me from the plan and went. Probably adjusted the spreadsheet to single occupancy and felt good about the savings. I keep going back to that last night in his kitchen. The laptop screen with all the highlighted lines, and him saying, it's not about the money, and me thinking, yes it is. It was always about the money. You made it about the money every single day for 2 years, and now that I'm the one who acted on it, suddenly we're above that. If he had just covered the flights, that's it. $1,100 for a man who makes $150,000 a year. That's less than what he spent on his espresso machine, less than 1 month of the car payment on that Audi, and he could not bring himself to do it. He could not bring himself to just take care of me one time without a formula attached to it, and I'm supposed to be the bad guy. He texted me last week. One line. Your boxes are at the front desk. Not come get your things, not I'll drop them off, not even I hope you're okay. Just, your boxes are at the front desk. I haven't gone yet. One of them has a blanket my grandmother made. I'll get it when I can handle being in that building without falling apart. But sure, I'm the villain. I'm the one who ruined everything. Not the man who Venmo requested his girlfriend with an airplane emoji and then acted surprised when she broke. Honestly, they both don't sound great from this story, but she definitely should have communicated better and not steal. What do you guys think?
Thanks for watching and getting to the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I appreciate all the comments I've been receiving recently. I'll see you guys in the next video.